So a young friend of mine posted a TikTok saying, I don't know how everybody's doing it. I don't know how we're all just going through this, sitting here, allowing this to happen. We're dealing with all these things and we're okay. We're acting like we're okay. We're still continuing to go to work. We're da-da-da-da-da. The world is in the situation it's in. How are we doing this? And she's young. Let me give you some insight. I'm at 4D. I'm on my way to 5D. I ignore most of this shit. I'm tapped out. I don't watch the news. I'm not sitting obsessing over this new administration. I'm 50. I have lived through the Rodney King beatings, through 9/11, through several presidencies that weren't the greatest, through some assassination attempts. I've lived through several natural disasters, huge earthquakes. I'm 50. I've lived on this planet since 1974. So I also lived through the end of the extreme racism era. It isn't the end of racism, period, but I lived through the end. The 80s is where they started trying to do better with racism. So I lived through that, but then I also lived through the crack era of the 1980s. Horrible, wiped out a whole generation of community of people. I've lived through the diseases and when they first came out and they wiped out people. So being fighting COVID is not the first big health scare that I've lived through. The first health scare that they couldn't cure when it first dropped was HIV. I lived through so many tragic stories at 50. Here's the thing. I've lived to see the other side of that, the beautiful things that happens during the time where they want you to be distracted in fear. I've watched new bills come across, people assimilate, new activists come forward. I've watched children still graduate and thrive. I've watched people still go through and become Olympians. And so what I'm trying to say is we can't get stuck at what is going on with the world right now and be like, how are we not overwhelmed? How are we moving forward? Because we have no choice but to move forward, because if you don't, you won't be ready for what's coming on the other side of the next 4 years. I am a chronic overcomer. 50 years. Isn't that like half a century, baby? 50 years of me having to assimilate and adjust to what's next. Overcome this shit. Overcoming women's rights and LGBTQ rights. I was born before that shit was popular. So I'm watching years and years and years and years of history repeat itself with bad choices, bad government, bad laws, bad people, bad cops, all I can say is tap out. I don't know what the hell is going on with the world, and the only way I catch what's going on with the world is when I come to TikTok and I scroll and maybe I see some things about the Grammys or what. Maybe I quit watching that shit years ago. I don't watch the Grammys. It's all propaganda now. I'm not trying to find out what's going on with the celebrities in Hollywood, because that whole industry is tainted. It's all a setup. It's all matrix living. What I'm doing while this shit is going on is worrying about my survival skills. Every car I have that I've had for the last 10 years, maybe, I've turned it into a bug out vehicle. Can I sleep in it? Can I live in it? Where's my first aid kits? Where's my fire extinguisher? Where am I headed to? I always have an evacuation plan of where am I heading to if this stuff gets bad? What could I do for myself if the world ever explodes to the point where my life is now at a threshold of survival, of getting somewhere because I'm being hunted, maybe because I'm queer, or whatever. I'm preparing myself. I'm eating. I'm trying to, I don't work out every day. I'm not even finna put myself up there like that. But what I'm saying is preparing yourself for the fight by taking yourself out of the fight. You survive the fight by taking yourself out of the fight. Especially black women, we're not supposed to be saying shit. This is not our time to be at the front lines. This is your time for self-care. Learn some shit. Learn a new skill. Learn survival skills. Start putting your life into survival mode as far as, okay, if you're transgender, where do you might need to live? Where do you need to locate? All of this is bad because of the presidency we're under, but there are certain states that are offering a way to get away from all of that. I forget what it's called. Sanctuary, to get away from all of that. I know Oregon is not trying to play with the administration and all their rules. So even though I've heard some people say all states is a red state right now, blah blah blah. Yeah, we got red people all over. We've got it in every state. However, there are certain states that are not just going to stand for what's going on and implement all of the bullshit. And Oregon is one of them. They're not rushing here to implement this new administration's rules and shit like that. They're fighting. Another thing I love about Oregon is that our Section 8 building is our Section 8 program is not federally funded. So if there's a federal freeze, Section 8 in Oregon will be okay, because Section 8 in Oregon are profit earners, meaning the building works. They're connected to the tax assessor and to DMV. Their community programs like this, they earn money. They are not nonprofits. The federal freeze are about to affect nonprofits. So all I need to know about what's about to be affected during this mess like this is my housing. What do I need to do now? Where am I going to live as a queer individual? Where am I going to survive and support myself? Those are the main things should be on your mind. If your immediate needs are taken care of and you're fussing about you still need to go to work through all of this, baby, survive. Y'all got to take your mind out of the game, because 4 years is going to fly, and where are you going to be on the other side of that 4 years? Start thinking in your mind what decisions and choices you would like to make should the shit hit the fan. But other than that, you need to check out. How are we going to work and acting like all of this is okay and surviving? Baby, because people need to pay their mortgage. That's how they're going to work. They're going to work because we need to fight through this. They're going to work because they have a family to take care of. So the main thing that we don't do is let the propaganda and the agenda distract us from self-care, because that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to they're trying to turn us all against each other. They want us to fall into the propaganda of pointing fingers and pointing, so that we're too distracted to find out what's going on with the government. What you should be doing is continuing to figure out your plan of survival. Baby, I've lived through the O.J. Simpson beating, through the George Floyd beating. I have lived 50 years to see this keep turning and turning and turning, all these natural disasters and earthquakes and wildfires. What I know now is that it's up to us to survive through the mess. That's where your head should be. You can't be depressed about it, because it is what it is. Your depression is not going to change it. Your tears is not going to change it. If you want to do something, sign some petitions. Invest in some boycotting. But for the most part, disconnect yourself, baby. I'm in 4D on my way to 5D. I am not at all entertaining any of the stuff. I don't watch the Grammys. I'm not watching celebrities. I don't give a shit. I hear about it a little bit when I scroll, and that's enough. That's enough for me to make my come to my summation. Like, yeah, they're affected too. They're totally unhinged too, and that's enough. I'm not diving deep. I'm not going into no fucking rabbit hole, bitch. I'm not a rabbit. I'm about to survive. I'm worried about my bug out car, making sure I have a car to drive, to making sure, like right now, I'm trying to learn how to start a fire on my own. I'm trying to learn how to take 2 sticks and rub them together. I'm trying to learn how to purify my own water. That's what we should be doing, because the wrong thing to be doing is to feel defeated. Well, why are we going around here acting like it's normal? Because in my 50 years, what I'm seeing happening is very normal. This is what happens. They've been screwing us. No matter what party you belong to, no matter what political stance you take, it is important for you to realize that the earth is not your lesson. You're here for your souls. You're here to, for your soul to learn lessons, and for you to break your generational curses, and for you to heal your bloodline, and for you to survive this and pass and move on. That's what we're here for, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not tapped into none of this stuff, baby. I live on 4D, and I suggest you try your best. I'm on my way trying to get to 5D. That's what you should be doing too. I hope this helps somebody.